And so when we talk about pricing strategy, you'll find that it isn't so much about working out, what are the specific, per price per program level, or finding out kind of an average price per user in that particular part of the country, because I can't possibly know pricing in all markets across the globe. So rather, what I want to do is really focus on the theory that goes into setting your prices for your new security programs, and really focus on the different components that you want to consider when you're setting your program pricing. And these components that I'm going to be talking about, they're going to be the same, no matter where in the world your MSP is located. So you can take this pricing theory and really implement it wherever you happen to be. So looking at the different components that go into determining an MSP's price, and the numbers that you're seeing there on the screen, these come from our partners that are currently enrolled in our business transformation benchmarking program. It's a program that is run by Rob Wilburn, Chris Massey, and so what they do is they accept MSPs, our partners, into this program, and part of kind of the kickoff of it is they have to complete this benchmarking so that we can kind of get data about, it's not personal data, but we take that data and we aggregate it across everybody that's in the program. So what you're seeing here are the numbers that are coming from those MSPs that are part of the program, and they're the numbers that are coming from the best-in-class MSPs of our Enable benchmarking program. Because when it does come to setting your monthly price, we can only do that once we have the program and the feature set and the tech stack, kind of all defined. Once you've figured out what that standardized program looks like that you're going to be selling. And that's what we talked about last week. Again, we talked about what goes into an essentials program, who would be a good target for that essentials program. And we talked about the advanced security package and who would be a good target for that and the different services. And so when we look at setting our monthly price, it's broken into really three main components. We want to look at our tools costs, we want to look at our labor costs, and then whatever our margin goal objectives are. And generally, it's our labor costs and the margin goal that really sets an underperforming MSP apart from, maybe a best-in-class or higher performing MSP. So looking at our software costs, kind of the first component, these are really the costs of the tool sets that are needed to deliver the services as defined by your program. Generally is the lowest cost component of an MSP's overall price. And to drive their tools cost down as much as possible, best-in-class MSPs really focus on the standardization of their tool sets that they're using to deliver their services. And as a result of this, they will generally benefit from volume discounts from their vendors because they are focused on productization and standardization. Whereas the underperforming MSPs generally haven't done as good of a job as this when it comes to standardization of their tool sets. They're typically using multiple backup products. I've seen 3 to 5, 5 to 7 different backup products with some MSPs that I've worked with. They're using different AV, 3 to 4, 4 to 5 different AV or EDR products because they haven't standardized. And a lot of times they'll just accept whatever backup or whatever products that their customer already has in place instead of, I don't want to say forcing, but instead of enrolling them into whatever their standard stack is. And so their tool sets tend to trend higher and the costs tend to trend higher because they're not benefiting from the volume discounts because they've opted to kind of spread out their purchases across multiple vendors. And when we look at our tools costs here, it is more than just the tech stack that's needed to deliver the services. It's also including the cost of your RMM, your PSA, maybe any reporting tools that you're using, to kind of manage and run your MSP department. And from our benchmarking, we have found that our MSPs that we benchmarked, their tools costs are really ranging anywhere from 10 to 16% of an MSP's overall price that they're charging. The second component we want to look at is our labor costs, and these are our MSP technicians' costs. The costs for the engineers that are going to be used to manage and support and deliver the program. This generally makes up around 22% of the overall price that is charged to customers, but this could be higher. if the program also encompasses higher end security personnel, where maybe the MSP is delivering a SOC or has a SOC, so they're delivering SOC SIM services as part of that program. Labor does tend to be the largest component of a program's overall cost. So in order to mitigate the direct impact that labor has on the overall pricing, this is where MSPs really want to work to optimize their technicians as best they can. And this is where they want to leverage automation and, again, standardization across those tool sets as operating best practices and procedures. So if anybody attended a boot camp a couple of weeks ago that I really gave around, how do you build a roadmap for your MSP if your MSP isn't trending in the direction that you want to go, meaning you're not getting the profitability that you'd like to see, or if you're not getting the revenue you'd like to see. I did have a part of that boot camp that did talk about operational efficiency and how you can better utilize your techs. But I am not the operational efficiency head nerd. So if you're looking for more information on that, Joe Furla is our operational head nerd, and he has office hours and he has his own line of boot camps that are really focused on how MSPs can improve their operational maturity if this is an area that they know that they need some help in. And if you are an MSP that is delivering kind of fully managed programs or more comprehensive program, then the labor costs will be a little bit more, because we need to kind of factor in all of that unpredictable and reactive support that needs to be added into a program like that. Because in an all-inclusive program, fully managed, all you can eat, whatever terminology you want to give to it, as the MSP, you can't go back and bill additionally if something catastrophic happens to the customer's network, or if the customer has really needy end users who, because they know they're in an all-inclusive program, they just call in like at all times with all issues for every little thing that goes wrong in their computer. So you need to be prepared and try and budget accordingly for that. But if it's a brand new client, you don't necessarily know right off the bat how needy their employees potentially could be. So we need to kind of build in sufficient labor to kind of cover that unknown, at least in the first year. And then we need to incorporate other labor costs into the program, like VCIO services. Every MSP needs to make sure that they're building in executive business reviews with every client that they have, at least on a semi-annual basis or quarterly, depending on the level of client that this is. And you want to build in time for this, because it's going to take anywhere from 5 to 20 hours or more a year to deliver those meetings. So you want to make sure that we're building that time in as well into the cost of the program. Now, some MSPs spend more on tool sets, less on labor, but overall, we're finding through our benchmarking that MSPs are keeping their tools costs and their labor costs to about 38% of the overall total cost of the program. And then once all those costs have been identified, then this is where the MSP really kind of needs to sit down and think about what kind of margin objective do I want to set for myself. And the objective is really based on a couple of different things. Obviously, your organizational overhead, so that your cost of sales, your admin costs, those types of things, where in the world you happen to be, your geographical market location, and the risk premium for the security specific specialization that you're going to be providing, and the level and the severity of risk that you're going to be assuming on behalf of your customers. Because when you are selling, managed services that has this emphasis on security, and that was really the tone of last week's boot camp, the philosophy of the program design, it really does center around risk and risk mitigation, and who is going to be responsible for assuming and carrying that risk. If the customer is going to be sharing a little bit more equitably in that risk, like what is in the essential program, you may not want to make the risk premium as high, but the more of the risk that the client wants to offload to you as their MSP, that's when we need something like an advanced security program, a more comprehensive security program. And as a result, the higher the risk premium should be that you build in, and that's just going to make for a higher monthly price. So what we're seeing here is, according to our benchmarking, our best-in-class MSPs are gaining about 62% margin that they're building into their programs. But I've seen this be much higher. I've seen MSPs have it at 70, 75, 80%. And then I've seen MSPs have it much lower. So when I go through the pricing exercise, I'm going to be basing it on what our MSPs, our best-in-class MSPs, are generating from our business transformation program. So you'll see that the margin percentage goal that I put in is 62%.